IMG.
And now we're live on YouTube. I got it fixed.
You did?
Yes.
So, there it is.
If someone is watching live on YouTube or at the VTRN Sports Facebook page, hello, good morning. Ed and I are both wearing pink. But yeah, let's talk about some wins. I think big wins on the weekend. I think Virginia Tech men's basketball, granted, Miami, given the Larinaga stuff, is probably the worst team in the ACC, or one of. And so is Virginia Tech.
There are a lot of candidates for worse in the ACC.
Yes, very true. But the fact that Virginia Tech got the win, even in the way they did, both men and women got a win over Miami this weekend. But the fact that they won that game, it was honestly, with this team, it's one of the few games they probably can win the rest of the way. Mike Young got an unbelievably bad hand this year, but Elijah Poteet with the great play at the end to get the and-1 to get the win. They went 86. They grinded it out in a game where, they tied them on the turnover margin. They out-rebounded them. They shot worse, actually. But I think a good win for Virginia Tech. And on the women's side, 12-point comeback in the second half where, you get blown out by Florida State at home earlier in the week, and then you bounce back and you get a win for Megan Duffy, your first ACC win. They're dealing with injuries, and I think they're not going to – you knew they were going to take a big step back without Kenny Brooks, and I think Megan Duffy has proven herself as a with some young talent that I think over time that, it could be in a good place. And then, I think the most impressive win of the weekend had to be where you were with Liberty over Middle Tennessee. And it's more not because of the opponent. It's because of how they lost the game to Western Kentucky in the second half on Thursday night, where they lose by 1. They were controlling the game for 3/4 of it, and they kind of just got cold, and Western Kentucky got hot. And I was texting Bryson Gordon during that time about the game, and he was like, yeah, they just kind of got hot and came back. And then, Liberty bounces back. I think they needed that win just to kind of get their psyche right. And if you're Liberty, you still got everything in front of you, and I think they will contend in Conference USA. But I think, fans have expectations of, jumping right into a new conference. Football, it worked, but I think resource-wise, they have more resources allocated to football, like 95% of the schools in America. And most conferences you join do, it's going to be hard. And I think Conference USA has been an underrated basketball league. And I think if you're Richie McKay, you feel pretty good about your team with the resiliency. And that was an impressive win Saturday night. Or Saturday afternoon. It was 6
Saturday evening.
Yeah, ish. Saturday night. It was 6 o'clock. So, yeah, that's Saturday night for sure.
Both games, Thursday and Saturday, they had double-digit leads in the teens. Thursday, they obviously blew it because they lost the game. To their credit, Saturday, when they got rattled even in the latter stages of the game, they held it together. And the composure that you want to see if you're a Flames fan is what they showed. And probably kind of building on what you said, Trey, the biggest takeaway for Liberty.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at it, they're still 13-2 on the year, 1-1 in conference play, which there's only 3 undefeated teams in Conference USA right now. UTEP, New Mexico State, and Kennesaw State, which, I know you're going to get to the Fast Five at 5-ish about a certain former 5-star quarterback heading to UTEP. Speaking of UTEP, but, you had to Sam Houston this weekend. It flips. The women were on the road this weekend. Now the men will go on the road for 2 games. I kind of like what they do with Conference USA. You play like your men and women are playing the same team. It's just home and away. It's kind of like the JV thing back in the day when you play basketball. JV would go on the road, or women would go on the road.
Girls JV and varsity on the road. Boys JV varsity at home.
It's kind of the same thing here, which it makes complete sense in that one. All right, we're gonna head to break. When we come back, I'll just face it. I had Paul on the fast lane once. If you want to hear someone make fun of me for 15 minutes, join us next in the next segment with Paul Van Wagner, Blacksburg on the Rocks.
It's time for the annual Volkswagen Sign and Drive event going on now at Terry Volkswagen. During this event, Volkswagen throws out the best deals of the year. For example, right now you can lease a new 2024 Volkswagen Tiguan Wolfsburg Edition for only $389 per month, or a new VW Taos for only $299 a month. That's zero down, folks. Just sign and drive with approved credit. But don't wait, because these deals don't come along often. Come see us today at Terry Volkswagen, where we say you'll love our cars.
Experience the charm of the Dan River District at Ballad Brewing. Join us for weekly events from our 5,000 square foot tap room. Fun like trivia, bingo, and live music plus 20 taps. And visit Ballad Brewing on Facebook for updated info like special events. At Three Roads Brewing, we're a fabric of historic downtown Lynchburg. We brew community. Each month, Three Roads Brewing partners with a local nonprofit. Enjoy weekly events like trivia, bingo, and live music while sipping from one of our 20 taps. All to join Three Roads Brewing in supporting Lynchburg.
When shopping for auto liability insurance, it's wise to consider the best policy, not the cheapest. Hi, I'm Randy Trost with Trost Law. It's crucial to have more than the minimum insurance on your auto liability policy. This protects you if you injure someone, or if someone without proper insurance hurts you. Having the right policy ensures you have sufficient underinsured coverage to take care of you and your family. To learn more how we can help you navigate these challenges, visit us at trostlaw.com. That's trostlaw.com.
We're here with Colt from We Fix Stupid Computers. Colt, to go along with your residential or individual walk-in services that you offer, you also do a lot of business IT support. How about you discuss that, and what specifically do you do to help businesses in the area?
We see a lot of that. Small to medium-sized businesses, they still have their IT projects. They still need resources to help them within their office and for remote users. And so we'll step in and fill in the gap where we do a lot of projects for them, help them manage their resources, their budgets, and get their technology under control.
Colt, how can these people reach out to you to assess their IT needs?
Call us. Our number is 434-525-8590. Our website, wefixstupidcomputers.com. We're on Facebook, and our office is here locally, 14690 Forest Road, right next to Scott's Cabinet on 221.
Hi, I'm Matt with Fleet Feet Roanoke. I've enjoyed working with Ed Lane and the Virginia Talk Radio Network. But when they sold their Roanoke station, I was skeptical the partnership could still provide value. Months later, I'm thankful that Ed took the time to meet with me, discuss the right solutions, and a plan to invite his audience to Fleet Feet Roanoke. Now we're able to build a connection with that audience thanks to Ed's creativity. Stop by and see us at Fleet Feet Roanoke to learn more. We'd love to get to know you.
Email info@virginiatalkradionetwork.com to start growing your business.
Your home is more than just walls and windows. It's where life happens. And at Right Choice Construction, we get that. We're not just builders. We're fathers, mothers, neighbors, just like you. And every nail and every beam reflects our commitment to creating a place you're proud to live in. With Right Choice Construction, you're choosing a team that's been perfecting the art of building for years. So build with us, build with experience, build with quality, build with Right Choice.
1 in 365 African Americans battle sickle cell disease. I was one of them. A blood stem cell transplant from a perfectly matched donor saved my life. Many patients are waiting to find their match. They need more Black donors to join the Be The Match registry. Learn more about becoming a donor and access free patient resources by visiting endsicklecell.org today. You or someone you know could be the cure.
The best deals are awaiting you at InsaneRadioDeals.com. Head to the website right now to take advantage of these great deals. Build your own dozen gift cards to Duck Donuts, Fleet Feet Roanoke gift cards, Aqua Trek Adventures, Crosspoint Athletic Club memberships, and a SeaRed.com annual club memberships. All at InsaneRadioDeals.com. Discounts and savings for you. All at InsaneRadioDeals.com.
CBS Sports Radio Lynchburg is brought to you by Feller Chevrolet, where no commission sales staff means no pressure to buy. Feller Chevrolet, Main Street in Alta Vista.
Good morning. We are just getting your day started here on VTRN Sports with the morning warm-up. Stay connected at Trey Lyle VT and Ty Tracy 90 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen wherever you are with the VTRN Sports app or watch the show live on YouTube at youtube.com/VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, back to the morning warm-up.
Welcome back to the morning warm-up. Look, I got it right that time. On VTRN Sports, 93.3 FM, 1320 AM, live on YouTube at youtube.com/@VTRN Sports. Ed's filling in for Ty today, which is a sentence I never thought I had to say, but that's what happens when it's a snow day. And we're supposed to have Paul Van Wagner on. I texted him last night. He's but he might have gone. He either is having PTSD from all the times he had to clean his driveway when he lived in Michigan from the snow, or he maybe celebrated too hard a Lions win last night and is overslept. And so, it is the downside of having a show that starts at 7 a.m. every day. Luckily for me, I decided to change my schedule starting last week instead of this week. And then pound enough coffee and you feel jazzed. You decided, I don't know why, to run in this mess this morning.
So I could not sleep last night. Excited, nervous, because it's your first show today, Trey.
Yes.
And one of the things that happened in the middle of the night is you hear this, and it's like a rocket launcher, except it's not a rocket launcher. It's a transformer blowing. So maybe that happened with where Paul is. And he's one of those people that unfortunately is waking up to the realization that, oh, bleep, I have no power.
That could be true too. So my mom just texted me. Their power is out. So please stay safe. If you think you can't drive, do not get on these roads. I will say the VDOT and all the crews out there.
Oh, thank you.
They are doing a great job. I think I took Old Forest Road to get here, and it was pretty clear considering the circumstances. So that makes me feel good. Granted, I got to use my girlfriend's car today, which is 4-wheel drive and not my little car, which probably made me feel a little bit more comfortable, but a little slower drive into work today, than typical. The cleaning off was the hard part, which you're supposed to clean your roof, and I didn't. My bad, but it was still 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had to get here, and so I made a business decision.
Trey, no fault at all. It was the same with me. As long as the windshield was clear, we could let the defroster warm the car up, and the rest would just happen organically.
It's be safe. Just be. This is where common sense comes in. All right.
Make common sense common again.
So yeah, and going back to our first segment, we'll revisit coach firings. Quite interesting. So one team I didn't think about in terms of the best teams. So Raiders, Giants, Titans, Jags, Cowboys, Bengals are kind of, we'll see. Cowboys theoretically have a coach opening because their coach's contract ends. But I think they're going to keep McCarthy. I think they're just going to re-sign him. 2
weeks from now, I think, is when the McCarthy contract ends.
I think it's like the 14th is the end of the exclusive negotiating window or something like that.
So a little over 1 week, next week.
8 days, which it seems like Jerry knew when this team would reach its ceiling, which would be after the first round of the playoffs. But they didn't even do that. All right. The Bengals, I think you have to get rid of Zach Taylor, but I don't know if they will. I
should versus will.
I know who will be moving today for sure, and that's Lou Anarumo, the Bengals defensive coordinator, which, yeah, that Bengals defense was awful. Raiders, sure. I mean, Antonio Pierce probably shouldn't have been hired in the first place. No offense to Antonio Pierce.
Rich Bisaccia was the better interim candidate a couple of years ago.
I just think, I mean, keep Antonio Pierce is not the problem with the Raiders. Let's put it that way. I think it's the fact that that has to be the widest margin of quarterback play is the other three. Granted, you have Mahomes in a different tier. I'd put Herbert in a different tier. I'm not the biggest Bo Nix guy, but he's
He works with Sean Payton.
He's Patrick Mahomes to Aiden O'Connell. Like that's the gap. Let's put it that way. Titans. I mean,
help wanted sign at every position room.
I feel like Malik Willis is a better quarterback than Will Levis, and they got rid of Malik Willis. And I mean, that wasn't even
he didn't even have a great game yesterday.
Honestly, I can't wait to if Vrabel gets hired, the first Pats Titans game, Vrabel's gonna want to. Yeah, and I think Jacksonville's like for sure. Like as much as you and I were provided a lot of fun memories from Doug Peterson, it just hasn't worked out. I think the bigger issue is the general manager. Which will they get rid of him? Who knows? The
reports I had seen is that was the big. They're expected to get rid of Balky, the GM, as well as Peterson.
If they didn't, I feel like I have good job security here because we both do a good job. But I want Trent Balky's like job security because you can do an awful job and keep your job and then get another one. Because remember, the 49ers picked him over Jim Harbaugh.
Whoops.
The Jags kept picking him, even though he wanted to hire Urban Meyer. And then he hired Urban Meyer. And then we saw how that went. I always thought that was going to be the Belichick team, was Jacksonville, before he went to North Carolina. But, something interesting happened in yesterday's game. Did you watch the end of so I don't know how you watch the games or listen to the games, but I always will red zone one TV and watch the Eagles game. Like that's how I predominantly do it. And then like, if I'm out, I'm listening on the app, or if I have to do something around the house, I'll open Alexa and open VTRN Sports. But if I can sit down and watch the games, I got red zone on one TV, and then the game I want to watch, the Eagles game. But I was watching red zone at the end because the Eagles game ended quickly because I think both teams just wanted to get out of there. But what did you think of the Mike Evans thing? I guess this was in the second. Was this? No, yeah, this was in the first one.
This was the first one, though. It was to me, it was
risky.
It was very risky because it was an 8-point ball game.
But I didn't think Spencer Rattler, even if somehow they threw a
but
pick.
But if you throw a pick six, the other team takes it back, ties it. Any weird stuff could happen.
I think also New Orleans kind of let him. They let him get it. If you watch that play, he like just runs it out. And none of the defenders go to him, even though everyone in everyone in the world knew where that ball was going.
See, it's so different. And this is not a get off my lawn, but Scott Shanley, who played for the Saints, apparently had a get off my lawn tweet of back in my day, and he was part of that Saints Super Bowl championship team a little over a decade ago. But Scott Shanley said, back in my day, we would have double teamed him and made sure he didn't get that incentive. I almost feel like players nowadays want the other players to hit those incentives.
I mean, it was
because it's like, yeah, it's like, well, if I were in Mike Evans' shoes, this is what a player's thinking. If I were in Mike Evans' shoes, I'd want to hit that incentive. So if I have a chance to hook him up, that's great because I'd want that to happen to me too.
Yeah, and if I think you think about it, $3 million is not, and it was a cool moment. The whole stadium erupted. He spikes the ball because there's 30 seconds left. The game's clearly over. The whole team comes and congratulates him. Fun fact, he finishes with 1,004 yards. That was not his closest to not getting the record. In 2017, he had 1,001 yard. So he barely got it. But, credit to Mike Evans. I think most underrated player, one of the most underrated players of all time. It's weird. Do I think he's a Hall of Famer? Like, I'm in the middle because I don't think he's ever been top 3 at his own position, but his level of consistency given his quarterbacks, because he's only played with, he had 2 years with Tom Brady, 3 years with Tom Brady, and outside of, he had Jameis, Fitz, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and now Baker, which Baker's been great this year and last year. So credit to him. Looking ahead, we're going to try Paul in the next segment. College football playoff semifinals. The Orange Bowl with no ACC team because, of course not. is an interesting matchup between Penn State and Notre Dame. Someone here may have picked that in their bracket. His name is Trey Lyle. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. We'll see if the 2 more days of rest that Penn State will have over Notre Dame will have an effect. We got the point of this expanded playoff was to get better semis than you would get in the 14 playoff, and I think they accomplished that. Texas, Ohio State's going to be really good. Does Ohio State show up for a third time? I think if Texas plays it at its peak, it can beat Ohio State. But if Ohio State plays at its peak, I know for sure it can beat Texas. Is this the game we see Arch Manning? Maybe finally. But Quinn made enough plays in that game, especially late against Arizona State. You got thoughts about the college football playoff?
Was it Quinn Ewers or Steve Sarkisian who impressed you less against Arizona State?
Quinn. Sorry, because I think Sark's the best play caller, maybe in all of football, because he's like, you look at the end of that game, he drew up 2 perfect plays to win the game. That 4th and 13 play where he gets Golden wide open, and then the next play where he gets Helm wide open. Like, I think Sark's the best play caller. Like, look what he did in 2020 with Alabama, and he got it. He truly got a receiver. Granted, Devontae Smith is really good. Like, he's a really good wide receiver. We both know this, being Philadelphia Eagles fans. But he won he made Mac Jones look really good. He made Mac Jones a first-round pick. I think maybe that's the better way to put it. So I think a lot of it was Sark. I think the problem with Quinn is he's just floating things. And I don't know if it's because of the oblique injury, but it's a lot of he threw 2 rockets. And, you look at a Michael Penix, for example, watching that game with Atlanta, granted they lost, and shout out to Bryce Young, which maybe if Paul's still asleep, we'll talk about Bryce Young in the last segment, because I do want to touch on that at some point this week. For our Panthers fans listening, because I think we're closer to Charlotte than we are DC. I'm not sure. I don't know geography, but
about the same distance driving.
Sweet.
I've made the drive both ways plenty of times.
See, that's why we have good. Thank you, Ed. But he just floated it, and you look at Penix, he was throwing seeds like darts, and yes, you need a quarterback with touch, but I felt like, especially that pick to basically get Arizona State back into or give Arizona State the ball to tie it. He just floated a ball up there, which he had the guy open. If he throws that on a line, it's a touchdown for Texas, and they win the game, but they cover the spread. But then they go in overtime, and he throws 2 absolute have to have it seam balls. And that's the one thing with Quinn. I'm like, is it hurt? Did he, he broke his collarbone last year, and maybe he just can't throw, because this was a guy who had the arm talent. He was the number 1 quarterback recruit of all time. It just seems to me that with Quinn Ewers, he just floats things too much. And this is maybe an NFL draft evaluation for him. Granted, based off the rumors, maybe he's heading somewhere in the portal instead of the draft, which, if the rumor is true, I would do that if I was him.
I'll go a step further. Not even that, but I've heard Daniel Jeremiah, who's pretty respected, who's very convinced, it seems, that Quinn Ewers is playing his last game or games 1-2 at Texas before he goes somewhere else.
No, I'm 100. Let's put it this way.
He's out. He won't be at Texas next year.
I would bet my life on the fact he will not be a Texas Longhorn after this year.
Will we see him at the ACC football kickoff in about half a year?
Now, would I bet my life that where he goes, whether it's the draft or a quacking or a hurricane or those are probably the 2, is my guess. Or to an NFL team, then I don't know. Because I think in some cases, like Carson Beck, for example, I think Carson Beck was just done with school. And he's like, I'm out. And I agree with that. Jalen Milroe probably could have got a bag from Notre Dame, for example. because he would have fit their offense if he didn't want to be at Alabama anymore, or if Alabama was done with him. Based off the last month of the season, I could see why Alabama would be done with him. But maybe he's just done with school. You know, I get it. When I was a senior in college, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of ready to be done with school. So there's still school in all of this. But yeah, it's just we'll see. All right, when we come back, maybe Paul Van Wagner, maybe a conversation about the Panthers, and more. We're just shooting the breeze, getting you ready for your day here on VCR and Sports. This is the morning warm up with Trey Lyle, and we'll be back in a moment.
From interest rates to everyone's personal credit history and background, everybody's in a different spot. At Feller Chevrolet, they understand that. It's why Greg Walker spoke with us and shared how Feller Chevrolet can work with you.
Well, we have multiple lenders, so everybody's different in personality and in their credit equity of what they put into a vehicle. So the different lenders have different areas that they like to go after, and we know which ones to use for the different individuals to get them the best payments possible terms that they need. As far as interest rates, everybody is saying, oh my goodness, they're getting so high. But if you look historically, we're really right in a rate area that traditionally for housing and cars is very competitive. We've just been so spoiled.
At Feller Chevrolet, they work with people from diverse credit backgrounds to get the right car for their needs. Stop by and see them, Main Street in Alta Vista, and visit fellersdirect.com.
Allstate agent Donovan Howell is now serving Lynchburg. He lives and works here just like you. And with all kinds of local insurance advice, Donovan is someone you can count on to help you protect all that's good in your life. Donovan makes it easy to save on the quality protection you need, and I'll even help you do the switching and the paperwork for you.
Call or come by the Donovan Howell Allstate office in Windhurst today.
Hey there, fellow travelers. It's me, the Hotel Whiz. Before you go anywhere, call me day or night for hotel rates too low to publish. I'll save you up to 75% on over 500,000 hotels across the globe. You see, I've already done the research, so you don't have to spend time online trying to find the best deal. That's up to 75% off. Just call me, the Hotel Whiz. It's a free call, and you get instant access to rates too low to publish with no cancellation fees.
Make a free call now and save up to 75% off your hotel rooms the next time you're going somewhere for business or pleasure. Call the Hotel Whiz now and get instant access to rates too low to publish. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. Call the Hotel Whiz right now for rates too low to publish. 800-378-2714.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
Ho, ho, ho! It's Christmas Eve, and Max and Daisy are busy decorating their exquisite tree.
Max, how high are you going with that star?
High enough so no cat can reach it.
Smart thinking. We don't want a repeat of last year.
Okay, Daisy, hit the lights.
Perfect.
Max and Daisy aren't just decking the halls, they're getting ready for something bigger.
What's next on our list?
Delivering gifts. Gifts of hope.
This Christmas, Max, Daisy, and their fellow guide dogs are heading out to change lives, bringing comfort and joy to those who need it most. Find hope at dogsinc.org. Ho, ho, ho!
Ready, Daisy?
Ready, Max. Ready to give hope.
The best deals are awaiting you at InsaneRadioDeals.com. Head to the website right now to take advantage of these great deals. Build your own dozen gift cards to Duck Donuts. Fleet Feet Roanoke gift card, Aqua Trek Adventures, Frostbite Athletic Club memberships, and a SeaRed.com annual club memberships. All at InsaneRadioDeals.com. Discounts and savings for you. All at InsaneRadioDeals.com.
Good morning. We are just getting your day started here on VTRN Sports with the morning warm-up. Stay connected at Trey Lyle VT and Ty Tracy 90 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen wherever you are with the VTRN Sports app or watch the show live on YouTube at youtube.com/VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, back to the morning warm-up.
Good morning. Welcome to the morning warm up. Trey Lyle. Typically Ty Tracy on board, but he's snowed in right now. So Ed decided to come in and take over that spot. So we've had a role reversal today from all the times we've done the fast lane, which we will flip roles later today at 5 to 6 p.m. On VTR and Sports. So how about that? But interesting stories. So my front stretch colleagues, Brian Nolan, Tom Bowles, and Michael Massey decided to take in a Jets game. Longtime Packers fan. Michael Massey got to see Aaron Rodgers' 500 touchdown. Jets won, so Brian was happy, and Tom was there, I guess, to just have fun. And I asked them point blank, because I started to figure out they were together, that, Tom, I asked them, like, are y'all together watching this game? Because I knew Brian was going to see the Jets game. And Tom says, you're a reporter, do some reporting. I said, okay. So I decided to just take some screenshots throughout the day, of videos and capture them and then just, spam Tom with them. And then obviously Brian sends us a photo on a separate group chat and I spam Tom with that photo. So I was proud of my quote unquote reporting skills yesterday, finding out that, Dalton Hopkins and I were uninvited or not invited to the Jets game, apparently, which it just,
you're not part of the in crowd, apparently.
I guess not, Ed. I would invite them. Maybe if I wanted to go to an Eagles game, I would ask Tom, for a place to stay, so I didn't have to pay for a hotel. But maybe he won't let me now. Maybe he doesn't really, maybe, they're gonna, maybe, I got to change my view of things with my friends at Front. All right, so hidden in all the games yesterday, obviously the Panthers finished the year with a win over the Atlanta Falcons. Bryce Young looked honestly like Alabama Bryce Young. I think there was that cool moment, which granted kind of fits because Steph Curry is a Panthers fan, of the no look, which Lamar did it Saturday, but then Bryce Young follows it up. He was 251 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's 25-34, and 94.3 QBR. He finishes the year with 2,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 picks, middle of pack in QBR. But you look at how he ended the year. I think, in his last 5 games, he was 95 of 150, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks, and a 94.9 rating. The Panthers, granted, were the laughing stock of the NFL at one point this season, like early on. I know they finished 5-12, but they go 2-2 in their last 4, including, basically eliminating the Cardinals and eliminating the Falcons. So, granted, the Lions finished better that year, but this team, and I don't think the Panthers will take the step up the Lions did in terms of being an NFC contender next year because of their roster, but they have a solid quarterback in Bryce Young now. I think that's fair to say. Chuba Hubbard rushes for over 1,000 yards. Miles Sanders looked kind of like Eagles Miles Sanders yesterday. They obviously need to upgrade the pass catching position, but I think if you're a Panthers fan listening in, which, we don't talk a lot of Panthers, but I bet there's some Panthers fans listening in.
They might be glad we haven't talked a lot of Panthers the last couple of years.
Yeah. I think you could feel really good about your team. Dave Canales, I think, did a really good job this year, especially in the second half. Bryce, look at his game against Philly. Bryce looked really good against Philly. And, I think that was the game. Obviously, Philadelphia couldn't pass the ball. I think if you're the Panthers fan, this is similar ilk to the 2021 Lions in terms of, at one point in the season of that 2021 Lions, people thought everyone's getting fired. They're going to change the quarterback. Like, this is the worst team in the NFL. Then they turned it around and eliminate the Packers on the last night of the season.
When they had nothing to play for, mind you. They had just been eliminated that afternoon.
Granted, there was a point in the season where they could have won the NFC South. And granted, they didn't really eliminate the Falcons because the Bucs had won. But they did eliminate, because they didn't know that. So they eliminated the Falcons. And I think if you look at the flip side, like, Atlanta clearly should have gone to Michael Penix sooner. And I don't know about you, Ed, but like watching that game, I was like, Penix looks good. I don't get, like, they're actually using the weapons they have. They're throwing in the middle of the field. I think, the blame on this season really falls to Raheem Morris, who I think is a good defensive coach, but he boggles the situation in Washington. He messes up the quarterback situation. I mean, Atlanta probably is the team that you look at that probably should be in over Tampa, but not, because they just mishandled the situation.
They beat Tampa head-to-head twice earlier in the year.
Which I still think Tampa's the better team, but I think if Atlanta handled their situation better, they would have been the NFC South champions.
I agree. Are we going to look back in 5 years and go, it wasn't the drafting of Michael Penix that was the bad decision?
It was the $100 million.
It was the $100 million plus to Kirk Cousins.
Which I agree.
Because if you draft Michael Penix, if you don't sign Kirk Cousins and you're screaming, hey, we need a quarterback, they had the 8th pick in the draft. You could trade the assets up, even if it's another first-round pick and a second-rounder or a third-rounder or whatever. Trade it up to go up a couple of spots and secure Michael Penix. Because you knew what was going to be 1 through 5, basically. Really 1 through 4. 1 through 4. Because 4 was going to be Harrison after the 3 quarterbacks went. The Chargers were the first negotiable team at 5 to get an offensive lineman.
They had to trade up. I think they could, as seen here, if Ian Rappaport's reporting before the draft starts that Atlanta's interested in Michael Penix, then I feel like most teams know they're going to probably draft Michael Penix at 8. No team jumped him. They could have just stayed at 8, not signed Cousins, signed, if they wanted a bridge quarterback, signed, ironically, Sam Darnold. I mean, granted, I think people are overhyping Sam Darnold a little bit. I think that you sign him to like a 2-year deal.
Give him the Baker Mayfield type contract.
And you just, you give JJ another year as a red shirt, because coming off of knee injuries, it's better to give him time. And I think Kirk will be okay. It's if Kirk Cousins wasn't coming off the Achilles tear, I get it. Like, I get it. I get paying Kirk Cousins $100 million because you need Atlanta just wanted to make the playoffs, and Kirk Cousins is a really good quarterback if you want to make the playoffs. If you took Kirk before he tore his ACL and put him on Atlanta, I get the move. I 100% get the move. It's just once he tears the Achilles, there's a reason that Minnesota didn't re-sign him.
There's one flaw I'll throw with that theory, or I don't know if it's a flaw, but one counter to that. Kirk Cousins as a player deserves the Baker Mayfield type contract, 35 to 40 million. But Kirk Cousins will never settle for anything less than the maximum amount he can get, which I get from a financial standpoint. But the drawback to that is he's taking money that could be allocated to the resources that he needs to prop him up if that's what he wants to do, which is win.
Yeah, well, we did it, Ed. Well, I made it through my first show. Hopefully you liked it. If you're listening on VTRN Sports, join us on YouTube later today, youtube.com/@VTRN Sports. And now,
thanks so much for listening to the morning warm up on VTRN Sports, 93.3 FM, W227 BG Timberlake, and 1320 AM WVGM Lynchburg.
132.